Good morning, and welcome to the Brenda Perryman Show right here on TV 33, WHPR or WHPS. I am so happy to be here the day after Independence Day. It was quite a day, and I have a great show for you this morning. My second guest is Shelley Kay, a phenomenal singer. And my first guest is a friend of the show, also one of my colleagues here at WHPR, Miss Claudine Jackson. Good morning, Claudine. How are you?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am blessed and thankful to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Right. Well, you're so vibrant, and I just love having you, and you do so many great things for the community. But before we start talking about the 20 grand reunion in the Driftwood Lounge, I got to talk about that because I was never able. I went to 20 grand once, and that was I had fake ID to get in because I wasn't quite old enough.
Yes, you were a lot younger than some of us.
Anyway, but I've caught up. So anyway, you grew up here, didn't you, in Detroit?
I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
But when my children were in school, we moved to Highland Park because back then, we're talking about in the 60s and 70s, they said Highland Park had one of the best school districts in the state. And I agree because you were a part of the Highland Park School District, and my daughter was so, she respected you so much, and she has kept up with you down through the years.
Through the years. I love Cindy. I love her. And I love Highland Park. And I was fortunate to be able to do my student teaching here. I didn't know much about it when I came, but I did my student teaching and fell in love with the people, fell in love with the school district, and I insisted that I teach here. You know, I had offered for a contract for Detroit and Highland Park, and I chose Highland Park, where I met wonderful people.
And
like
you have left such a legacy.
Well,
that goes on and on and on, because my daughter, I won't say how old she is now, but she still has great respect for you.
Well, I appreciate it. So when you were here in Highland Park, were you a homemaker? Tell me about yourself.
When I was here in Highland Park, I started out as a teacher's aide at Cortland, at Ferris Middle School.
Ferris.
But one of the beautiful things about Highland Park is that if you worked for the Highland Park Board of Education, you could attend Highland Park Community College at no cost. That's what started my college career, because I said, if I can go to college free and I don't do it, then I really have a problem. So that was something beautiful that I don't know how many other places have anything like that. But I got my associate's degree from Highland Park Community College at no cost because I work for the Highland Park Board of Education.
And that was funny because that was just such a wonderful, wonderful college. Had a great reputation. A lot of great people went there too. And it was connected to the high school. And so I got to know a lot of those college professors too. And after you got that degree, the associate's degree, what did you do?
But that's when I ended up having my fourth child who was handicapped. So it kind of derailed my educational plan, and I didn't go back to school until he turned 10. But I did go back and get the rest of my degree.
Oh, that was great. What was it in?
Elementary education. I got a bachelor's in children with emotional impairments, and my master's was in learning disabilities. Here again, I had a good situation because Detroit Public Schools and Detroit Mercy High School, which was the high school I was attending,
right,
they had a plan. If you got your master's degree for learning disabilities and you taught in the Detroit Public Schools learning disabled students for 5 years, that got paid for.
Well,
so
in those days, though, that's what happened.
Yes.
Because I didn't have to pay back any of my college loans because at that point, even though I started teaching January of 1971 here in Highland Park, they considered it a low-income school district, and I couldn't understand that at that particular time, but every year it canceled 15%.
That's what we need, things like that. Now, I don't know how many things like that are going on now, but they had some really nice things back then.
Right, right. So you worked off your loan, really. That's what ended up happening. And when did you marry Mr. Jackson?
We met in 64.
Oh, wow.
We somewhat hooked up in 66, and then we got married in 1968. Before they had any hit records, before they'd had a couple hits, but they hadn't made any money. And Purvis was always saying, one day, I'm going to have a hit record, and I'm going to take you places, and I'm going to buy you things. And I thought, well, he's dreaming, but I don't believe that you dash water on anybody's dreams.
Right.
So I said, I'm not going to stop him from dreaming. But I thought one day he's going to say, well, I better get a factory job because this music business isn't paying off. But lo and behold, everything he told me did come about. So that was a lesson for me in sticking to it, believing in yourself, and having endurance and to keep going.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was funny because it's a shame, that song.
Yes.
It's a shame.
Yes.
It always makes me think of a block party that I lived on the west side, and we had a block club party, and that was one of the songs we played, and also and we danced to, of course, and then Truly Yours. That's what the letter said.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah. Yes.
And so I knew of the Spinners. I loved the Spinners, but I didn't realize that they weren't making money then. And it wasn't until the 70s when they started making those other hits,
And we had mentioned Aretha before. Aretha Franklin took the Spinners with her to Atlantic Records. And she had them opening shows for her before they had any hits. Now, Truly Yours and It's a Shame were hits, but they never made any money.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we've learned about the music industry, that you can have a hit record and still not make any money.
Right.
But the Spinners were blessed by Aretha. She took them to Atlantic Records with her, and their career just took off. Tom Bell started writing for them, and their career just took off after that. November of 72, they got their first gold record.
Wow. I know that caused for celebration. And, their songs still endure, and I had the Steels Brothers on in May. They both came, and they wrote Could It Be I'm Falling in Love. They came to Detroit to do my show, and that was a big hit for the Spinners also.
You're right. You were you invited me to be on the show, so I got to meet him.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have met him had it not been for you. So I was able to meet him and thank him for all that they've done.
Right.
But Purvis, Motown had something that record companies need nowadays. They had something called artist development,
right,
where they taught their artists how to perform not only on stage but off stage, how to have class and dignity and be prepared to meet anybody. So when Purvis would leave Motown, he would come home and put me in artist development. And I'd say, well, Purvis, you're the celebrity. I'm not. And he'd say, one day you're going to be glad I'm teaching you this. And that day came about. I'm glad.
You know, it's funny because I remember you telling me that he was the 1245 man. 1245.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he became the sex symbol of the group.
Yeah. Well, he was a handsome man.
And our marriage fell apart during that time. Having a child with a handicap, as we do, it's a strain on marriages. So a lot of marriages don't survive having a handicapped child.
Well, so, you had some real bumps in that marriage.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Because being married to an entertainer, you know, I'd heard many women say things like, well, if she can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen. And she knew she was married to an entertainer, so she know women are going to be after him, those kinds of things. It's like if your husband is an entertainer, it's just open season. Right. And if your husband decides, oh, let me try a little something new, then that becomes a problem.
But you did separate.
We did separate. We separated in 81. Our son, who's handicapped, Purvis Jr., was born in 75.
Oh, okay.
And his condition I had never heard of, autism. I had never heard of autism until Purvis came along, Purvis Jr. And he was so hard to handle and so aggressive, all the things they say about children with autism, Purvis Jr.
And what are those things? What are those things?
They have tantrums, and you never know what's going to set them off into a tantrum. And with my son, I found out that he didn't like the word no, and he didn't like the word stop. So I could be on the phone talking to someone, and I'd say, well, I don't know. And he'd push me, and I'd be unprepared, and I'd hit the floor. And I finally learned there's certain words, and if I said stop, same thing. It's called triggers. For people with autism, there are environmental triggers. Right. So some of those were the things that triggered him. And then sometimes he'd get triggered, and I wouldn't know what it was. But he liked smooth surfaces. So if he came in here, he'd clear everything off.
Oh, so he liked
and then stand up on here. And I just never experienced anyone like my son. But he was born in 1975, and 1975 was the year that they quit putting people with autism in institutions. So the reason I was so unfamiliar with it is because prior to 1975, they were all institutionalized.
Oh, my goodness. And that had to be a very big strain on your marriage.
It was a big strain on my marriage. This is coming along at the same time that Purvis is having hit records, and he's on the road a lot. So I felt like I was going through a lot of this by myself. But Purvis was always pushing me to write. If it hadn't been for Purvis, I never would have written the books that I've written. I'm working on another book of poems that will be out before the end of the year. But Purvis was always pushing me to write, because when we first met, we wrote songs together. I called them poems. Purvis called them songs. So he knew I could write, and he knew that I enjoyed writing. But I said, I can't write a book. I can't write a book. You know, you got to sit down and focus.
The whole idea of a book it's something. I felt the same way prior to mine.
Yes.
I know a book.
Yes.
Who writes a book? Yeah.
And then when you started writing it, wasn't it already in your head? Because when I finally started writing this book, it had been in my head all along.
Yes. And the hits, I remember, I just want to say this one time, it was at the Masonic Temple, and Felipe Wynn was with the group at the time. And he was singing Mighty Love, and he was mighty. You know how he danced across the stage.
Yes.
Were you there when he fell off the stage?
Yes.
I was there in that audience too. He was just going, and he fell into the orchestra pit.
Yes.
And then they got him up, and he kept on dancing. But I heard they went to the hospital afterwards.
But when he passed away, it was in Oakland, California, performing, and he
Right.
fell off. He came back for an encore, and he fell off the stage. So they thought it was just him doing this same thing he always did.
Uh-huh.
And well, he didn't always fall off the stage, but he was always skipping and jumping, and he never made it, never recovered.
Wow. Wow, that was interesting. I mean, he had a great, improvisational voice, too. And the way he'd carry out the ends of some songs. In fact, the Spinners complemented each other very, very well. Now, the 20 grand, you say a 20 grand reunion. For those people who don't remember the 20 grand, why don't you tell them what the 20 grand was?
Well, for the people that don't remember the 20 grand, ask your mother, ask your grandmother. They know about the 20 grand. The 20 grand was a destination nightclub in the city of Detroit. It's a big part of Detroit history, and we don't want that history to get lost in the shuffle of so much going on in the world. But in the 60s and 70s, the 20 grand was the destination. People came from all over the country, and when they came to Detroit, the 20 grand was where they wanted to go. The 20 grand had a 20-lane bowling alley, a fireside lounge, and a snack bar on the lower level. On the upper level, it had a humongous ballroom called the Gold Room, and then it had the Driftwood Lounge where the performers performed.
Now,
and
the Gold Room and the Driftwood Lounge, two different
rooms. So it was a big complex. And the Gold Room, I don't know if you remember Frantic Ernie Durham.
Of course I do.
Okay.
Yes.
He had teen dances in the Gold Room twice a week. So the 20 grand was very busy, and it was very well liked, and I didn't want the history of the 20 grand to get lost. And when I mentioned to my daughter, this is our second 20 grand reunion to raise money for the Purvis Jackson Foundation. When I mentioned to my daughter that we're going to have a 20 grand reunion, this was last year, she said, well, that's from the 60s. Ain't they all dead? I said, no. There are some of us still living, and we're going to be recognized while we're still living.
Let's talk about some of the acts that performed there.
Motown and the 20 grand worked kind of together, and Berry Gordy, before he sent his acts on the road, the 20 grand was their proving ground. He sent them, they performed at the 20 grand. So that's during the years that I was working there, and I got to see all of the artists, not just Motown artists, but people came from all over to perform at the 20 grand. Now, Bill K. Bush and Marty Eisner were the owners of the 20 grand. Bill K. Bush, we called him BK, was a really good boss. He was firm, but he was generous. If you needed an advance on your salary, he would give you an advance. If somebody came to him and said, my rent is due and I don't have the money, he'd give you an advance. Entertainers would call him from New York and California, say, BK, I don't have money, I need to get back to Detroit. He'd send them the money and say, well, Claudine, I guess they're going to have to perform here now. So we called him the Great White Father because he was so generous. I had no idea, we were calling him this behind his back. So then one day he comes to me and he's telling me who has asked for money. He says, what's the Great White Father to do? I said,
my God.
I said, we call you that. But I think he wore that kind of as a badge of honor because we did respect him and love him. So,
it's funny because I was a teenager during a lot of that time, and the 60s, of course,
yes.
and I remember going to the 20 grand, and I I made my little fake ID. I also made my fake ID for the Palladium. You know, because you had to be over 17 or I don't know.
21.
21 or at the 20 grand. And I
Yes.
sure wasn't 21, but I just had to see what this place was like because it was legendary.
It was legendary.
Absolutely. It was on 14th Street or something?
14th and Warren, right on the corner of 14th and Warren.
Right, right.
But you know, since when I started the 20 grand reunion event last year, it was such a success that I said, well, we'll do it again. But I was amazed at how many people told me they were coming in before they were 21. This is before you had picture ID.
I know.
And the girls said the over 21s would go into the 20 grand, go to the bathroom, and throw their ID out the window for the under 21.
I wish I knew people. I was busy doctoring this thing, trying to get out.
It's amazing. I found out how many people were doctoring it.
Yes.
And coming in, and one girl, she said, this is lately that I found out that her parents were telling her when she turned 21, she was going to have a big night out at the 20 grand, and they were going to take her. She could have her first drink and her first nightclub. She said they had no idea she'd been going in for 3 years. They took her when she turned 21.
Right.
And it was they thought, such a treat for her, but she was all used to it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't find this out until lately because they were very careful about checking ID. When you came in. But the other thing about the 20 grand is we saw all these wonderful artists, every Motown artist perform there. And all the different groups, the OJs, the Stylistics, other groups other than Motown groups.
Right.
And it was $5. The admission was $5.
Amazing, wasn't it?
And back then they put on 10 nights. They did 3 shows a night for 10 nights.
Right.
Performers don't do that kind of.
Not anymore.
Yes.
But you know, the thing about Detroit audiences, they say if you can make it in front of a Detroit audience,
That's
you
right.
can make it anywhere.
That's right.
You know, and well, tomorrow, July 6th at 7 p.m. is the reunion, 20 grand. The Driftwood Lounge. Is it in the No. I know it's not in.
Right.
It's at Burt's Marketplace.
Right.
I don't know why I was taking myself back to the Driftwood Lounge, you know.
Well, I'm sorry that you missed the heyday of the 20 grand. But the 20 grand ladies, they were the ladies that kept the men coming in. There were some ladies that men would come in and say, is such and such coming in tonight? And I said, I don't know. So the 20 grand ladies, those the ladies that had the tiaras on, the 20 grand ladies kept the men coming in, and the 20 grand men kept the cash registers ringing. So I wanted to recognize the 20 grand ladies and the 20 grand men while there's still, so many of us are gone, though. So many of us are gone. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So what do we expect tomorrow?
Oh, we're going to have a hustle marathon. I've been hustling for autism for 40 years, so people will be hustling for autism tomorrow, and there'll be a cash prize for the last person dancing.
Really?
Yes. We had a hustle marathon before, and it was a big success, and I participated in it a little, but I have knee problems and all that, so hustle marathon is not for me anymore. And then we're going to have raffles and prizes, and it's going to be filmed, and we're going to show scenes from it on my TV show, A Spoonful of Comfort, that comes on Tuesdays on this same station.
Absolutely. And your son is how old now?
He just turned 44, July the 1st. And back in the really difficult days when he was so hard to handle, and he didn't sleep nights, he was up all night screaming, and I couldn't sleep. And this is one of the stories I have in the book that I'll share with you. He screamed all the time. So before we got his medication straight. So I said, one day he had screamed so much, I said, if he screams one more time, I'm going to scream. Well, he screamed and I screamed, and he screamed and I screamed, and we were both
all
screaming
for ice cream.
So,
no,
so I said. Then I was embarrassed afterward. I said, "Well, nobody will know that I was screaming." But there is a psychological theory that if you have a scream inside of you, you need to get it out.
That's true.
So that's what I was basing it on. Well, my daughter came home from work, and she said, "Mama, are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, Mama. What's wrong?" I said, "There's nothing wrong." She said, "Well, all the kids outside said they heard a lot of screaming in here, and they thought somebody was killing you."
Oh, my
So,
gosh.
so much for me keeping it a secret.
Yes, well, I love your poetry. You know,
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you.
Know,
Thank you. Thank you.
Do. I read.
Thank you.
You know, I always see something. I like this special educator.
Yes, ma'am.
And you say here, I can't say enough about the teachers and therapists who work with children with autism.
Yes, ma'am.
They were the ones who helped me learn to accept my son and learn to manage his behavior. They are truly earning their stars in heaven. I wish I could give them all medals. And you have this poem I'm just going to run through real quick because we got to go to my next segment shortly. Special is as special does, and special you shall be when you care for special people who are not like you and me. You're trying to save the children, and you're doing it with grace and love and dedication and a smile upon your face. You all are special people. You taught me how to see, to look inside and let the outside be. Your determination caught me. I can make it if I try. I'm learning to be patient. I'm learning not to cry. I'm learning to be positive. I'll do what I can do, and I'll make some progress if it's what I learned from you. I don't know why you do it. I don't know why you care, but I have to tell you how I feel. Thank God that you are there. And that's by Claudine Jackson. So are we able to still get tickets for the 20 grand reunion tomorrow?
Yes, it starts at 7 p.m. You can get tickets at the door. And like I said, it'll be filmed. And we're going to interview the 20 grand ladies and the 20 grand men. Last year, I forgot to do that. So if we're trying to document some of our history, that's a part of it.
And the dancing, I mean, the big four. You have the big four here.
Oh, the big four are the people that have raised a lot of money for the Purvis Foundation.
Okay.
So I wanted to recognize them, and I gave them awards. And you're looking at the picture of the big four. The gentleman passed away since then. So the big four are no more. And, I knew he had medical situations, but he gives a golf event every year to raise money for the Purvis Foundation. Now, originally, I thought book sales, because Purvis was still alive when we came up with the concept, and we thought the book sales would keep the foundation going.
Okay, well, tomorrow this is a great cause, and you're going to have fun with the great cause, 20 grand reunion, another 20 grand reunion tomorrow, July 6th at 7 o'clock. You can buy tickets at the door. And this is exciting. They're going to celebrate the Mighty Mighty Spinners. And you get to do the bop and calypso and some of those old dances we used to do back in the day, too, right?
Right. Thank you so much. Now, the Purvis Jackson Foundation helps lower-income children with handicaps.
Right.
A lot of them are single parents, and they can't afford their treatments and therapies, and we send them to camp. Whatever the parent needs, we provide many grants.
Absolutely. This is such a wonderful, benevolent foundation. So everybody stay tuned. I want to thank Claudine for coming in this morning and talking to me about this. And this is an event that shouldn't be missed. And I'll be back in just a moment with Shelley Kay.
Thank you.
Breakthrough Revelation Conference, Seeking the Knowledge of the Holy Spirit, takes place Tuesday, July 16th through Friday, July 19th at the Word of Truth Church of God in Christ, 7101 Rivard Avenue in Warren, Michigan, at 7:30 p.m. A pre-worship conducted by Minister Rosetta Archer from 6 to 7:25 p.m. On Tuesday, July 16th, Chief Apostle Dr. Prince A. Miles from International Gospel Deliverance Center. On Wednesday, July 17th, Pastor Arthur Downs from Redeeming Faith Church. On Tuesday, July 18th, Pastor Miranda F. Pope from Rathwell Ministries International. On Friday, July 19th, Reverend Dr. Robert E. Gardner from the Word of Truth. On Friday, July 19th, musical guest Dr. Tony Booker and supporting pastor Bishop Shirley Little. For more conference information, contact 586-754-9673 or visit our website, twtchurchministries.com. Breakthrough Revelation Conference, Tuesday, July 16th through Friday, July 19th at the Word of Truth Church of God in Christ.
Kareem Bean Pie is the grand champion of all bean pies. The rich flavor and smooth texture takes this pie to a whole new level of delicious. One bite and you'll understand why people all over the country call daily to order Kareem Bean Pie. Call 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie.
This bean pie is delicious.
Alexa, open TV 33 Live. Alexa, open FM Detroit. Alexa, open FM Virgin Islands. Now you can listen to WHPR, TV 33, and WVIE on Amazon Echo. Don't miss a minute of your favorite shows. And find out how you can have your own show heard worldwide on Amazon Echo. For more information, go to FirestickTVNetwork.com or call us at 313-868-6612. The Watkins Broadcasting Company.
I am exoneree Aaron Salter and CEO of Innocence Maintained. Please join me in helping to end all wrongful convictions and please donate.
Innocent Maintained is a 501c3 designed to help in the exoneration process through housing support, ID, EBT, health insurance, counseling, and financial literacy. Donations can be sent to Cash App $Innocent Maintained, innocentmaintained.org, PayPal. Make all checks payable to Innocent Maintained.
Beautiful, simply beautiful. That video was of my guest, Shelly Kay. Good morning, Shelly.
Good morning, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You have such a strong voice, such a beautiful voice. And let's get a little background going. Now, are you a native Detroiter?
Born and raised right here in Detroit.
Where'd you go to high school?
Persian.
Oh, doughboy.
Yes.
So, when did you discover that you could sing?
Actually, my father was an engineer for Motown.
Oh, okay.
In the 60s.
What was his name?
Joseph Norris. Matter of fact, his punch card is there in the museum.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yes.
So he would come home and train myself and my three brothers. I was 3. And he would literally...
You were 3.
I was 3. I was 3 years old. And by 5, he was taking us downtown to Kennedy Square to perform. I'm really finna tell my age. We did a couple of Rita Bell shows.
Rita Bell.
Yes. And a couple, it was a place I think called the Underground that we would, a lot of places he would take us and we would perform and we would have to, of course, immediately leave after the performance.
Right.
So, but he groomed me from what he was saying, because he was basically there at Motown more than he was at home.
Right.
And then he went on the road with the Temptations and all of them back then. So I saw rarely of him when I was little.
Wow. He would be so proud of you now. And so you started performing when you were very, very young.
Correct.
And in school, were you in the choir? What was, when you were a teenager, what was your outlet?
When I was in elementary school, actually, because he made sure we all learned instruments. So I learned flute, violin, a little piano.
Great.
Once I got into high school, they didn't really have a lot of music. Matter of fact, I wanted to pursue music. So my second love, believe it or not, was carpentry. So
Really?
Yes. So I took 2 years of construction, of actually building houses, and I graduated from Randolph doing that.
Really?
Yes.
Girl, you have skills.
Yeah.
My goodness. Besides the music skills, that is wonderful. Wow. Because when I went away to college, I wasn't going to major in drama. I was going to major in wood shop or something. I wanted to they called it industrial arts. Mm-hmm. And with industrial arts, I guess it was a predecessor to the technologies. But it was, I always just figured I could make little wooden things and stuff like that. And I love working with my hands, but fate took its turn, and I ended up coming back to school because I was in a car accident. I majored in drama, and that was all she wrote. But I admire you so much that you're able to do that. And have you ever, what have you built? Have you built some things?
We actually had to do on hands when we were in school. So I was able to be on when they did the Riverview Hospital on Jefferson.
Yes.
We was able to do hands-on there.
Really?
I built a couple houses. We built houses when we were in class. But once I graduated, I went right into actually marriage when I was 19.
Oh.
So from there, of course, I became grounded once I started having my children.
How many children?
I have 5. I was a single parent of 5.
You are kidding.
Yes, they're adults and married, and they're doing wonderfully, but I have 5, yeah.
Yeah, and you're still sane. I had 3 that almost drove me crazy. So kudos to you. Kudos to you.
I just put it in my writing. All my craziness, I put into my writing.
Right. Your songs, and because you do compose.
Right. Yes, music, writer, arranger, the whole shebang. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So tell me this, because I've seen so many of your videos. I looked at a lot of them. You've opened up for some great people. Can you talk about it?
Marlena, matter of fact, actually, I attribute a lot of it to Miss Rosetta Hines, because it was Rosetta some years ago that gave me my break.
WJZZ.
WJZZ. She gave me my first break of playing my song. I wrote a song, tribute to Phyllis Hyman. And from there, she would say, hey, there's an artist coming in. So I was allowed to open for Marlena Shaw, the Spinners, Temptations, Marion Meadows. So I've been blessed to be able to share the stage with these phenomenal people.
And Brian
McKnight.
too. Also, I saw that. And I saw one with you and Bill Meyer. I think I have that. I think he was the keyboardist on a particular one.
Every Thursday at Burt's. He's down there every Thursday.
Yes, he and Galen.
Yes.
And Ralph.
Ralph Armstrong. Oh,
yes, love Ralph. Love Ralph. So tell me, how did you get off? Okay, you had your children, but how did you get off into being able to perform? What was the step you took to say, look, I'm ready to get out there?
Actually, I never stopped performing. When I was married, I was still performing with bands. Like I was with Freestyle. David Brandon of the Spinners used to be my drummer before he was with the Spinners, and I was always performing through the years. I made my hustle able to take care of my kids from still performing.
Oh, okay.
The older they got, my two oldest daughters actually joined me in performing with me. Matter of fact, the song that you just...
Were those the two girls? Were those your daughters?
One of them was. The oldest daughter was having my first granddaughter at the time for the video. But the other one was my daughter, and the other one was a good friend of mine.
Wow, wonderful. I believe in making things a family affair, and that was just great. So now, are your kids all grown?
They're all grown. My last son, he's 19, and he and I, we're doing a CD together as we speak.
Really?
He taught himself. I taught him a little piano when he was 3, but I could never really get this left hand to work, and he could. So he's now, he's self-taught classical jazz.
Really?
But we're actually working on an adult R&B CD together, as well as co-writing. Like we're writing a song presently for Miss Brenda Wilson.
I know Brenda. She's a friend of the show.
Yes, it's a beautiful song we wrote for her, or writing for her father. I Miss You.
Oh, for Jackie Wilson.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having a ball writing and performing with him, and looking at him grow and inspire into this artist, this phenomenal artist.
Well, besides being a musician, can he sing?
He just started singing. It's about 2 years ago. He said I could never get him to sing, but now he's doing, because my dad taught me 5-part harmony, so I've been teaching him 5-part harmony.
Wow.
So we both wrote a song called "Breaking the Silence" for Nin Bailey's. She had a
I know Nin, and she was on my show.
Correct. She had a thing that she did called "Breaking the Silence," and my son and I, Justin Williams, we wrote that song for her, and he was right there in the background with us. So he's now singing background. I just can't get him to do lead yet.
Oh, okay. But,
yeah.
It takes a minute sometimes. Everybody's not ready to jump totally out there. But he seems to be coming along. And he's how old?
He's 19.
19,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, be proud, be proud, be
very
proud.
Much, very
so
much.
You were singing all along. Where were you singing?
Not only was I singing, but a lot of people, I'm attributed to, along with Startime Karaoke, Roy Brown, that we brought karaoke.
Tell the audience about Startime Karaoke, because both you and Claudine were talking about that. Mm-hmm.
We actually brought karaoke to a lot of the black bars over 20 years ago. It was already in the white bars, and no, prejudice in case anybody, but just the distinction that we had brought it to the black bars. And so once again, that was how I was making my hustle. I started with Roy Brown. He was from Ann Arbor, and he wanted to bring it here. I was already performing with my different bands and different clubs, so I was able to put the two together. And from there, we did some good runs through the years of watching it grow and watching so many singers grow from to just burst open to, from there started karaoke.
And I think it helped their stage presence
Without
also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting up there in front of the audience is no joke,
Yeah.
And many times people get up there, they're nervous. I taught public speaking, and that was one thing. I had one young man just go crazy. He said, I can't get up there. I can't do it. I can't. Just getting up in front of an audience for some people is quite a challenge.
Right.
Did you find that with some of the people initially?
Without a doubt. It was some that was so nervous, but I was able to first find what they liked. Some like jazz, some like country,
right.
Which I had to, of course, be open to be able to sing whatever songs. Once I was able to find out where they were comfortable at, it was just about each time I literally had to work with them, sing along with them, be up on the stage, be goofy with them until they can get comfortable with the mic, until they just, from there they got comfortable because it was a same crowd that would come. We all became like a family where they didn't mind.
And innately, your crowd wants you to do well, right?
Exactly.
And that's the thing that people got to know, because I've seen performers kind of make some missteps and so forth on stage, and the audience says, take your time, take your time.
Exactly. And that's what I appreciated about a lot of the audience. And then if we ever had boozer hecklers, that was never allowed. I would never allow that to take place, because I would always remind everyone that we're here for a good time, to let the bills and all that stay at home, and we're out just to have a good time. And from doing that, a lot of these singers now have their own CDs, their own companies.
Who are the names of some of these clubs?
Oh, geez, Club 7, Strawberry Fields, the Limit Lounge.
Oh, wow. And I wish I would have known about that, but I can't sing. I sing.
That's the first thing everybody says.
No, there's no bout a doubt it. No bout a doubt it. But I've always wanted to sing. But, there's some songs, I guess we can sing. I could sing with a group maybe. Did you ever have people get up there like in a group?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, if a group came in, I would try to get them to come up as a group, find some kind of songs. We are family, something that'll get them happy, and that'll want them to get up there. Or if it's a young group, I got a hip hop, a hip it, a hip it, a hip it, hop. You don't stop the rocket. So I would encourage them to come up as a group.
Gang. Listen, what is your favorite song that you like to sing?
I am a complete Nancy Wilson, Phyllis Hyman. Matter of fact, I'm working on a show, the Nancy Wilson Experience, that will be coming out at the Aretha Franklin Jazz Cafe. Look like it'll be August 30th, along with Kern Bradley.
Oh, so, Kern! I got to get him on. I got to reach out to him. He's such a wizard, and just extremely talented. So it'll be the Phyllis Hyman?
No, this would be the Nancy
Wilson, right.
I was supposed to do this show in April, but it was something that took place that they overbooked. So they're trying to accommodate in order to make it be able to happen.
So with this showcase, you'll be singing some of her songs, or what?
Oh, yeah, it's all Nancy Wilson songs. Try to, of course, they're just like there'll never be another, but I would at least do the best I can to bring her spirit.
What is your favorite Nancy Wilson song?
I know everyone loves Guess Who I Saw Today, but I was telling him about you.
Oh, can you give us a little of that? I don't know that.
My arms was around him, my eyes was aglow. The music was simple, the night was aglow. But while we were dancing, I think you should know, I was telling him about you. It's while she was dancing with this guy, she looked across and saw her husband or man friend, and he thought that she was, they was, chitty. But she was literally talking to this guy about him. Wow. And I thought that was the most brilliant song that, so yes, that's my favorite by Nancy.
Well, we have another video. I'm going to show some of that. I think this is the one with Bill Meyer. I'm not sure. Let's see what it is. Is there a title on it, Tim?
Before I Go?
That's Bill Myers.
Yes, with Bill Myers. Where were you?
At Burt's. Matter of fact, we're Miss Jackson will be tomorrow, right, at Burt's.
Right.
And Bill is here every Thursday, and he wrote this song for DJ Holiday, who passed. And not long after he wrote it, I was able to sing at her dedication.
I want to sing a song for you. Nothing else I can do before I go.
Wonderful, wonderful. Girl, your voice is so strong.
Thank you, thank you.
Amazing. Your voice is amazing. So, what are you doing these days? Where are you performing? Where can we see you?
I'm actually working on the CD in the studio with my son, trying to get this done.
When do you project it being done?
Well, actually, I have one that's finished. It's called "Yesterday Is Gone."
Yesterday is gone.
Yesterday is gone. It's a reminder song of those that, if you love someone and you're arguing, don't let them leave the house. Don't let that night, that sun set down without, because you never know if something would happen. And in the song, something had happened to this individual. So it's a reminder. Just
Who wrote it?
I wrote it.
Oh, wonderful.
I wrote it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that will be.
By the end of this month, that single will be out. In order to be out. Well, actually,
now once you have the single out, how do you get them played now?
See, I had to take a deep breath on that one. It used to be that you can go to the different radio personalities and get it played, but now I have to try to learn the logistics of how to get it uploaded and downloaded and streamed, and so that's kind of what my holdup is right now, is just trying to make sure I get that done, and not like I can just burn a copy and get it ready for the stores. So that's where I'm at right now, the logistics of it.
Right, right. I hear this thing, they're talking about CDs are coming to an end, and I hate saying that, because they don't even have them in your car now, CD players.
But it's kind of they can't bootleg it.
Right. So let's once again just say on August 30th.
August 30th, the Nancy Wilson Experience will be at the Aretha Franklin Jazz Cafe, and you can find me, Shelley K. Lewis, on Facebook. And you can also find me on email, ShelleyK06@yahoo.com.
Absolutely. And make sure you post that on my wall, too, so that to remind people about the Nancy Wilson Project, okay?
Yes.
I'd like to thank you so much for coming in this morning. I am just totally struck by you. I'm awed by your voice, and you're going to have a great career. And it's never too late. Claudine Jackson told me that this morning. So everybody, I'll see you again next week and talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me.